Hello. Okay, let me organize my life. Let me say hi to everybody. But first, I need to go live on Instagram. Okay. Oh, there you go. Go live. Hello. Hi, Instagram people. Okay. Let me say hi to everyone. Shelling, Norwegian Wood. Hello. MJD, Leah, OSP, Z, Arashi or Arashi, Julie, Angel Star, Elizar, uh, A Brown, Maritz. You want to go? You want to say hi? Let's go. Hello. Okay. Hello. Say hi to everybody, baby. Show them your cuteness. They like you better than they like me. Say hi. Ah, mm, mm. Okay. All right. Leia, Dawn Marie, Fire Butterfly, Z Arashi, Bang Luna. Da-da-da-da-da. Fire Butterfly is also on Twitch. How do you do it? Do you have two devices open? Um, one on Twitch, one on YouTube. Okay, and the Big Night Sky. And the Big Night Sky. Morsi, Morsi, Morsiga, Morsga, Alta, Francis, Helena, Pia, Warren, Kathleen, Linax, Marilyn, Helene, Carmi, I Carmi. Uh, I'm frozen. I'm not frozen. They're saying hi to you, baby. They're saying hi, Debak. Okay, Pretend, Orchid, Angel Star, Cindy, Elizar Kez, Pia, Elia, Michelle Santiago, Lisa, J Lau, Z Arashi, Patty, chu- 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 chu, chu- 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 chu, Fire Butterfly, okay, Elaine, SKC. Okay, hello, say, say hi. Say hi to everybody. How are you all doing? Have you have you gotten your copy of Seven Chakos? I'm not going to be discussing that today, but next on Monday, I'm going to be discussing the next 10 chapters. I hope you get your copies already. Hi, Maria Cando. So, I hope you get your copies. The one that I discussed the last time was just sort of laying out the characters that we've already met, three of them, and then like analyzing how I do my initial analysis of the characters. So I hope you get your copies already. Okay, we've got some sleep after JK took a break. I know, right? But it's absolutely love his commitment to finding the ways on how to have fun with armies. I definitely appreciate that he's actually spending his time with armies during their break. It seems that everyone is on a like maybe 2 week break before, most likely before they start their rehearsals or something. So I'm assuming that he said he's gonna be taking a break for about 2 to 3. Dodger Girls also on Twitch. He said he's gonna be taking a break for 2 to 3 days before he goes back to streaming. And that's absolutely fine. I mean, if he doesn't want to go back to streaming as well, that's fine. But I absolutely appreciate that he's been spending his free time, some of his free time with armies. So love that. Also, I love seeing the pictures of RM. he seems to have taken this opportunity to travel with his family and such a lovely family. We're gonna be talking about all of those things. But yeah, I love it. I am actually a little uh eh, I not no, actually I love the camera setup that he set up. He has two cameras now and he's shifting between the two. I love the functionalities of the cameras that he bought. I hope I can buy one very soon. So just listening to him laugh is so much. I know, right? I love when he's playing the games that he's playing. I love the group picture in the end. He's That seems to be the highlight for him because that's when he laughs the hardest. I love his banter. I love when he's beating up other armies. I love when he's getting beaten up by other armies. So yeah, I mean, I could really imagine him setting up his own like production company after, like, if once he slows down, like nurturing talents on YouTube and other platforms. I think that would be great for him. Okay, he needs to work on the brightness and contrast. It whitewashed him terribly. It did. But I think, yeah, I think he'll figure it out. It seems that he just bought it that morning. His setup. He probably just bought it that, well, he kind of said it. That's why he said he was gonna go online in the evening because he was gonna take, oh, there's a car going off in the background. Sorry about that. But he said that he was gonna set it up because he bought the camera that morning and he was gonna go online at night, which he did. So he's gonna master that, I'm pretty sure. And then he was talking about like a setup in his gym, like the treadmill or something. I don't know what that is, but probably he bought one again. So because we know that he has one, he's shown us using it. So he probably bought another one. Maybe when he has friends over and they want to work out together, maybe, who knows. So we're gonna be talking about all of that. But I think let's just go talk about the negative things first so that we get that out of the way and we're left with the positive ones. Maria, thank you, Maria Cando. It's actually I found out his mic is 10,000. I totally forgot he's a millionaire. It's 10,000? Really? Wow. I know that there is, so the mic that he's been using, the one that he's been holding up, there's a version, maybe he bought the industry grade one or something, maybe. But there is a version of that that's like $150 or something, which is still a lot for a mic. But I guess if you're going to be streaming, if that's the career that you want, this is the one that I'm using is 80, maybe 80 or $90, which is fine. It's doing its job. It doesn't come with, but I also bought like that switcher to make the audio clearer. So I bought that, and that is about 120, and then this is about 90, I think. But it does the job. So had RM showed his family before? Is this the first time I've seen them? He has shown his family before, and his sister has been posting on her public profile. So her profile is public. I think ever since she finished college, went back home. She, as you know, she has her own cafe in Seoul, which you should absolutely visit. It's gorgeous, and I love the coffee. I love the food. So you should absolutely go there when if you ever visit Seoul. He has posted them. As I think I've mentioned to you before that when I went back to my vault, which I should continue doing, I will continue showing you some of the things that I've been finding in my vault. What's wrong with my camera? It's not focusing. Oh, there we go. Okay. So when I went back to my vault, I realized that they've actually shown their families before, except for Jimin. But the rest of them, they've shown their families. Oh, sorry, sorry. Well, yeah, Suga has. Wait, wait. So Jin and Jimin are the only ones who have not shown their families before, their photos. The rest have actually shown their families before. But it's mostly in Japanese fan club magazines that they used to have yearly. I don't know if they still have that yearly now. But yeah, it's been they've shown them before. Not that I have any plans on showing them unless they've shown them recently, but all of them have except for Jim and Engine. Um, I was wondering if Fairlane would splurge on a mic on a 10K no. Probably not. This that's the job, right? I mean, I'm pretty clear, so I think I'll stick to this for a while. I would rather distribute to you guys 10,000 instead of buying a $10,000 mic. Okay, I think that mic was already in the house. Don't think he bought it for armies. The smaller black one he bought in California. Okay, so wow, we have some new people. All right. So Tickle Lady, Anush, MHM, Kathleen, hello everybody, and Big Night Sky, Sylvia, Gold, W and James, Elise, Hoan PH, okay, Julie, Elizar. All right. So hi everybody. When she's world famous YouTuber and magazine mogul, she'll be able to afford. Actually, the magazine is doing fine. It's there's really something odd about how you grow digitally. If ever you guys have any plans on creating your own channel or going full force with your digital career, there's something really odd. Like it took me for the magazine. I'm not doing any kind of paid advertising. I'm barely putting links outside of mentioning it in my YouTube channel. I don't even put links anywhere. So as of now, it's sort of as organic as you can get. So um it took me about a month, sorry, probably 2 months, maybe a month and a half to generate legitimate 600 visitors on the website. 2 months to do that. So that's like legit traffic, meaning they didn't land and then leave. They landed and read some stuff and clicked through some stuff. So that's about 600. And then the next 800 came in 2 weeks. Right? So there's something about how you grow within YouTube. Like the bigger you grow, the faster you grow, something like that. So it's been interesting doing that. And then after that, I actually wanted to share with you guys that um so there you can ask YouTube for some recommendations. And then there are some creators that I communicate with just because it's a community, kind of helping each other on how to grow and giving out tips and stuff like that. And so all of them have been encouraging me to sign up on different influencer platforms where you can actually, where brands go for them to find partnerships. Okay, so there are platforms like there's a lot of that. And if you have time, you just sign up on all of them. But the problem is that it's a little time, not a little, but it's time consuming because each time you sign up on those platforms, of course, you have to fill up your forms, submit stuff that they're asking for, like the traffic and the demographics of your audience and stuff. And then you also have to update that regularly, right? But brands go there. So, for example, makeup brands would go there. They would put up their ads, um, and then they'll put up their requirements. And if that's something that you can deliver, you can submit a bid, and then they'll let you know if they're interested in getting you. But just like any other kind of venture, don't expect that it's a one-to-one kind of result. So you're probably going to be submitting, at least from what I'm hearing, there are people that would actually be submitting to hundreds and hundreds of briefs, is what they call it. Hundreds and hundreds of briefs and only get like one or two in the first year. From there though, once they get going, then the opportunities actually come. And then many of these brands, once they kind of like you, if it actually leads to results, then they'll forge a long-term partnership with you. So why did I start saying that? Oh, okay. Um so they've been telling me like just go there, because at first I was like, oh, I only have 40,000. I don't think it's worth it yet. And they were like, there are people there that have 10,000 and they're getting some deals. So go there and start. So I decided I was gonna show this. I'm gonna you got for the paid members my live stream this Friday. On Friday, I'm gonna show you how it actually looks like on the back end. It's kind of fun to see the kind of offers that this brands actually put out. So anyway, so I if it is not against the terms and conditions, by the way. So I'll so I decided, okay, I'm gonna sign up. And then after I sign up, there's actually two brands who got in touch with me directly because they saw me there, which they're not supposed to do. So, but it's like a different kind. It's a new experience for me getting into things like this, communicating with people directly, people sliding on your DM, offering you this. The most common, actually, the most common are brands from Temu. They're the most common who would get in touch with me directly because they either saw me on those platforms or whatever. They'll get in touch with me and then like just email me or slide in my DM and then, here's the brief. Are you interested in whatever? So, but most of the brands that are there are actually fashion brands. So, makeup actually, a lot of makeup brands, which I can't because you already know that I don't use a lot of makeup. I only use lipstick and that's about it. And my skin regimen is one step. It's just virgin coconut oil. I don't think I'm going to be changing that anytime soon. And so whenever there's a makeup brand that would approach me, I'm like, I'm sorry, my subscribers already know I don't use makeup, so that's it. There are a lot of dog stuff there. And those are the ones that I usually gravitate towards because you know how much I love my dogs and just dogs in general. The problem is that my dog is so picky, and a lot of those dog deals are actually food. So for those of you who are dog lovers, there are opportunities for you there if you can dress up your dog, if they like food, because my dog is so picky when it comes to food. So he doesn't just grab he wouldn't just eat anything. And so it will be hard for me to work with the brand. And also he gets sick of something that he eats repeatedly. So I have to have like about 10 different types of food for him and then cycle through it. So a lot of the food there I can't work with because he wouldn't like them. Okay. Nigma price. Why? What did I miss? I was just sharing my experience with different brand deals. So that's what you missed. Just more personal stuff. Okay. Lipstick brand would work. That would be something I'd be interested in if I find any that's specifically lipstick. But most of the time, it's kind of like a package. You have to have like powder and shimmers or whatever, and I just don't use it. I don't even know how to put makeup on myself. So I don't even know how to put lipstick on myself. So, but lipstick brand definitely work. So probably more technology type. If there's anything like that, I'd be interested. Um, and then this one that got in touch with me, I'll let you know once if it works out. I'll tell you what it is. But okay, all right. I buy a bit from Temu, but not clothing. I have considered it though. Haven't surprised you haven't been branding. You have yeah, because I just want to be picky. I mean, I definitely don't want to I'm kind of like JK. I don't want to endorse anything I don't use. And the only reason I'm entertaining this two that approach me is I've been using the brand, the product that they are representing. You actually have seen me use it. So, have you? Or at least similar to that kind. So I said, yeah, that's something I can do because isn't LV lipstick 150 for one? Oh yeah, those are expensive. But mine are mostly Korean brands. So yeah. Okay. All right. Debak is a toddler. He is in his snow phase. He's 5. He's 5. Okay, why are we Google searching their families when it's none of our business? Who? Google searching whose family are we Google searching? Okay, let's start. We are gonna go through some of the negative stuff first, and so that we can leave out the positive ones in the end. So for the Seven Fates Chacos, um, I'm going to continue that on Monday because there were some people who messaged me and said that their book either just arrived or will arrive the next day, and they wanted some time to be able to read the entire thing. So I'll continue that Monday. Okay. Well, let's start. What about glasses or contact? I haven't gotten any offers. So the ones that I would be using, glasses, definitely. I wear a lot of sunglasses, especially big ones, and then caps, I wear them. Shoes, actually, because but running shoes because that's what I do, hiking shoes. Okay, people are going off on the comments. What are we talking about? Who's going off on comments? Commenting on who is what? Okay, let's start. You'll keep on waiting for the ebook. It might not come. Your book comes Friday. Yeah, a lot of you actually messaged me if I could give them time to wait for the book. So okay, I'll continue that Monday. Okay, let's start. People are going off and they were Google pixing BTS members of family photos. Oh. I would just be happy with whatever it is that they provide. It just so happens that for J Hope, the most public one is his sister. She has a business. So I that her pictures all over. So and she does videos and whatever. So fine. And then the sister of RM, because she also has her business, and then she often posts photos as well. But the rest, because they're private, then leave them alone. Okay. So for the third time, they called in Bang Shiyuk for questioning. And this time it is a 14-hour questioning. Absolutely ridiculous. So that was my initial reaction. Because I went through different stuff, like different cases in the past that are more finance leaning. Like for example, the Cacao CEO who was indicted but eventually acquitted of the crimes of manipulating stock prices when Cacao was going against HYBE in their business when HYBE was trying to acquire majority share of SM Entertainment. And he was only questioned once. So but this time he's getting questioned three times. And so I actually asked my friend who's a lawyer here. He was born and raised in Korea. He was a lawyer in Korea and a lawyer here. And I asked him about it. I said, is this like normal? So how he explained it is that it is normal for something like this to be questioned repeatedly. And when he says it's normal, he means Korea is so used to it. When a case is high profile, the, you can expect this will happen. So he's not actually surprised that this is actually happening. And he said, you probably should prepare yourself for another one or two. So, and I was like, what is it that they're trying to find? If you can't find anything in the first two questioning that you did, the only reason you would call in the person again for questioning is if you find a new evidence. And they said that's possible. He said that that's possible that they found a new evidence and he's being called in relation to the evidence that they found. But most likely it's repetitive stuff. They keep on questioning him, hoping he slips, hoping that there is some inconsistencies that he can pin him on. But to give you an idea, one of the most high profile cases that South Korea has ever witnessed is the Burning Sun scandal. And Sungri, who became the center of that story, was questioned 8 times. No, sorry, 16 times by the police. He was called in 16 times by the police. So some lasted the longest one he said was 12 hours, but mostly it would last 8 to 10 hours. So it's not new. It's not new. They're not He's saying that it is normal in the sense that we're used to it. The police would usually do that, especially if it is a high profile case. And I've mentioned to you, there's nobody more high profile than BTS and Bang Shiyuk. So he said probably he won't be surprised if they call him again for one more or two, unless there is a high profile, and this is what he said, unless there is a high profile personality that will call them out on it. Like, for example, if the president of South Korea says, like, get get it done, whatever, get it done, then they'll probably hurry up and stop calling him in for questioning. So prepare for one or two more is what he's saying. um okay, so it's another 14 hours. This time Bang Shiyuk didn't stop for to answer some questions when he's done, and he would always have his lawyers with him, of course. So he does enjoy the rights of a suspect, meaning he doesn't have to talk, the lawyers can answer for him. So he does have his lawyers all the time, but we don't know what's happening in that case. So that's one development. His lawyers are with him during questioning. Yes, the lawyers are with him during questioning, and he can invoke for us. It's the fifth, if whatever there, he can invoke that the lawyers will be the ones answering in his behalf. Thank you, Pritin. Okay, but he was guilty and deserved a harder sentence. Are you talking about Songri? Yes. But his point is that because it was high profile, they could have indicted him sooner. They drag it because they like the publicity. So they called him repeatedly because they like the publicity. However, Kakao, you want to go down? Do you want to go down? Hmm? You want to say bye to everybody? Bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye. Say bye bye to thank you to Britain. Thank you. Say thank you. Bye bye. Can they charge MHJ criminally? We'll get there. Now, the good development is that there was actually someone who spoke about this, and it's he's a columnist, a journalist in South Korea, and this time it's not like some entertainment journalist or whatever. He's a legit journalist. And he actually talked about it and sort of expressed his disappointment in the system. So these are the things that he said. Let's read some of the clips together. So he said that, okay. So he said he's not just a producer, he's a reformer who redefined the structure. BTS's success and HYBE's globalization were the fruits of an industry he designed not just as a single individual artistic flair. Okay. So he said, though, so that was his intro or whatever. And he said that the problem is the speed at which Korean society immediately accepts this ongoing suspicion as as confirmed guilt. And this is very important because I just did a video on Kim Soo Hyun. I don't know if you're familiar with him. So let me pull up. I think I have the slides here. Some of you may have actually seen the video that I published about this story of Kim Soo Hyun. So Kim Soo Hyun was accused of being the reason for the former actress Kim Seron for taking her life, or at least the family of the actress is blaming Kim Soo Hyun. But even more than that, he was being accused of having a relationship with Kim Seron when she was a minor. In particular, they are accusing him of being his girlfriend, sorry, his boyfriend when she was 15 and he was 27. There's a 12-year gap between the two. Okay. And apparently, it wasn't just any kind of relationship, it was consummated. At least that's what they were making it appear to be. Now, what actually pinned him even harder is that there is this website online, sorry, YouTube channel, and they have a huge following. Garocero Research Institute is the name, and it is backed and run by a former MBC reporter. Kim Se, I think is the name, if I remember it correctly. And he came out with quote unquote evidence saying that those evidence included pieces of evidence include messages, voice conversation. The text messages were pretty intimate. They're very, very physical. I'm sure you can just use your imagination. I don't have to be detailed on that. And then the conversation was allegedly between Kim Seron, the late actress, and a friend. And she was allegedly talking about being intimate with him, confirming that she was a minor when the relationship started. And from the very beginning, from the very first time this YouTube channel came out with these allegations, the camp of Kim Soyun already said that these are all manipulated. This is AI. They uh, sort of, not sort of, they edited photos. They edited the photo of them and put it with photos with a specific date. They predated basically the photo to imply that that was taken when she was a minor. And then they also misrepresented certain things like the letter of Kim Soyeon, which he sent to someone else. They made it appear as if he sent it to Kim Seron. Okay, so now just want to make it clear that the girl, the late actress Kim Seron, has nothing to do with it. She passed. So all of this were being done by the YouTube channel and the family. Now, also wanted to make a disclaimer that the case is still ongoing. So we don't know. He could still be guilty. I don't know. The point is that even when he was putting out statements and he was suing this YouTube channel and also the family of the late actress, no one was listening to him. When he was presenting evidence, no one was listening to him. Another YouTube channel actually came in the picture, proving that the picture that channel, so Lee Jin Ho is this YouTuber. He came out with he said that that other channel, the Garosero Research Institute, stated that this specific photo was taken when she was 15. It couldn't be because the phone that she was holding, they took a selfie in front of a mirror. That phone was released only 4 years after. Cuddles for Debak. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. So he was saying that couldn't be because it was launched. It Apple released that 5 years after the date that they were claiming the picture was taken. So it's impossible. That's the thing that he said. So and it was verifiable because the phone indeed was released by Apple 5 years after 2019. And so he's saying that these things don't match. No one was listening. So to everybody, I'm not saying that he's innocent. For all we know, he could be guilty. But my point is that people should wait before they actually assume or conclude somebody is guilty. Okay. So so the girl, just for everybody's information, the girl was, if you've watched the movie Man from Nowhere starring Won Bin, the little girl there was that actress. Okay. So, and when she grew up, she got into some trouble. She got into a DUI. She paid for that. I think there was jail time, if I'm not mistaken. And it was actually during that time she was signed in the agency created by the actor Kim Soyeon. And so it was the agency who actually paid the fine for the DUI. Anyway, that's a side story. My point, I raised this because everyone just assumed he's guilty. Okay. And no one gave him the benefit of the doubt. Well, there were few, but the prevailing narrative is that he was automatically guilty without even hearing his side. Okay, so after he came out with different pieces of evidence, and then there is another journalist, a YouTube channel, sorry, well, the freelance journalist, I guess, who did his own forensic examination, went to the National Assembly, and complained about it. He said that this is not acceptable because allegedly he's also been a victim of that same channel. Okay. So he went to the National Assembly and said that I did my own research. I have my evidence. I can come forward. I can provide it to you. But what they are doing to that actor and what they have done to other personalities cannot continue. So now the National Assembly is listening to him. And so they're hearing the case again. The police will hear the case again. And the police actually admitted that they were slow in this case and whatever. But no one is talking about it now. The It seems that the court is finally sort of leaning towards him because they were granting him the injunctions that he has filed, but no one is writing about it because it's not sensational anymore. It was more sensational when he was a pedophile. He could still be. Again, I don't know. We have to wait for the conclusion. But no one is talking about it now that it seems that he will be able to prove himself innocent. It's not sensational. People love sensationalism, and that is the same thing that they are doing with Bang Chi-yuk. They want to assume immediately that he is guilty because that is more sensational. And the problem with South Korea, and I guess in many institutions, well, probably not so much in the US, but in many countries, once people think you've done wrong, even after you've proven yourself to be innocent, you don't go back. And that is more true in South Korea than any other country. Many actors, many celebrities have been accused of different crimes, proved themselves to be innocent, and they never go back. So the problem is that for Kim Soo-yeon, many of his advertising or brand partners have already withdrawn and filed a case against him. They've actually seized two of his assets, two of his homes. So one is a apartment building or whatever as a compensation for him violating moral clauses of the contract, which he never violated anyway. Okay, so this is the same thing that they are trying to do with Bang Shi-yuk. They are assuming that he is guilty, even though things are still r- being investigated. And to this day, he's already gone through two different investigations, and he was proven innocent. They're doing this the third time, and it seems that they're dragging it just because they know this is what the public wants to hear. Okay, so this report has said for the past 20 years, the K-pop industry has operated within the closed structure of trainee system. Bang Shi-yuk broke that mold. So this is the reporter talking, expanding music into a corporate asset and a global content. When HYBE achieved what HYBE achieved in the global market wasn't simply music export; it was industry standardization. Artist branding, platform centric distribution, and IP asset management are all examples of his legacy as a business architect in the domestic music industry. I've touched on this many, many times. The IP move, creating IPs behind the based on the celebrity or based on the idol, and then eventually allowing that IP to grow independent of the celebrity or the idol. That is a genius move because down the road, when all of the celebrities slow down, they pursue other things, they don't want to do music anymore, or they want to do it less, they will still have income if the IPs are done right. And not that it's new, that has been done before. It's just that he actually solidified it, created a process over it, and standardized it. And now everyone's copying it. Everyone is trying to come up with their own IP. So he said, however, Bang Shi-yuk's achievements are now being completely denied because in South Korea, they feel that if you do something wrong, even if you've done right, those don't matter. They want it erased because for them, it is more important that you are morally clean before that is the requirement. It's a prerequisite that you are morally clean before they recognize any of your achievements. And in my head, aren't we all effed up? We are all morally damaged. We've done a lot of things that we are shouldn't be proud of, done things that we should not have done. If that is the case, no one should be honoring anybody. No one should be doing anything in their lives. Everyone should be just locked up in a tower or something and hide because no one is morally clean. If that is the standard in South Korea, boy, you're in for a treat. And so he's saying that those, of course, transparency and accountability. He said that, of course, we have to be accountable and we have to be transparent. There are also inherent risks and friction within the established system that investors must bear, innovators must bear. Those who create a new order are always subject to attack by the established system, just like Apple's Steve Jobs and Tesla's Elon Musk. So all of these people, they have been criticized for their attitude towards work. Steve Jobs is known for being an a-hole at work. He doesn't talk to anybody. When he does something, it's just to criticize somebody. He rarely praises people. So all of these things are known about him. And then we all know Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all of these billionaires, people that, and not just necessarily billionaires, but people who have done great things. I mean, name anybody and they all have spec in their moral portfolio, right? But once you get there, once you achieve something, then you become a larger target for people. Everything is magnified. So he said that much of the criticism surrounding him stems from emotional betrayal than personal deviation. So that is the only complaint that they have, that they felt betrayed because he's being accused of something that has been proven false twice over. But because there is accusation, Korean society feel that everything that he has done should be discredited because there is questions about his character. And an industry should be judged by its systems, not emotions. I absolutely agree. When it comes to things like this, we shouldn't be talking about somebody's. I mean, of course, there are things that are just too grave for us to pass, to sort of excuse or to ignore. So there are personalities that I would say, no matter how great you are, we're just not going to recognize you. It's not that we can deny how great you have become or the great things that you've done. We're just not going to recognize you because you're just too horrible of a person. You know what I'm talking about. If you're too horrible of a person, I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, we're not going to erase. It's not like we can erase the great things that you've done. We're just not gonna recognize it. But if it's, you know, if it's something like this, again, he's been proven innocent twice of this same charge. So he said it is undeniable that Bang Shiyuk's action, rather than disrupting market order, have elevated the K-pop industry to global standards. But people simply will not stop because it's a good target, because he is very still much connected or at least associated to BTS, no matter what people say. So he's saying that now let's evaluate him from an industrial perspective rather than a moral perspective. Okay. Even presidents, exactly. I mean, name anybody, anybody. All of them have their own moral faults. You, I'm sure, you turn a page in their history, and you would see that everyone is damaged. So if that is the standard, that you cannot do anything morally wrong, we should just all be burned alive. Just, that's my conclusion. Let's just all be burned alive if that is the standard in South Korea. But that is what they are insisting. Although there are, of course, some people that are saying that it's not about pe it's actually more about people finding ways on how to be superior over other people that are succeeding. And I've discussed this with you before, that there is this observation in South Korea that when chaebols get into trouble, if they are proven to have done something, use their influence and power to do something that disadvantage other people, South Koreans will most likely be more forgiving than if you are somebody who came from the bottom, raced to the top, and then do something wrong. Because for them, it is a given for the chaebols, for the rich ones, to use their power to do something advantageous to them. For them, it's natural. Of course, they're going to abuse their power. They're already rich. But if you came from where we are, from the bottom, and you do something wrong, that is unacceptable because they felt it's a personal attack. Because in their heads, they're just as good, just as hardworking. Why did you manage to go to the top? It should have been me. And you will pay for that. That's the irony of their principle. Jealousy and envy are such angry colors. Maybe it's time for people that are hating on Bang Shiyuk should take a good it's not should take a good it's not look in the mirror, a good look in the mirror instead of constantly harassing him. That's some twisted logic. It is twisted logic. It is twisted logic. And I don't it's c- I also don't know if I know of any society who is like that. I mean, in the Philippines, my home country, we're certainly not clean and we have a lot of faults. We're known for having crab mentality. If there are Filipinos in the comment section right now, we're known for having crab mentality, and that is the habit of pulling people down that are rising, sorry, that are racing, that are rising up. So our tendency is to try to pull them down. I'm not saying that I do that, but I mean the predominant in the culture. We have that. We call that crab mentality because crabs hold on to each other and pull each other down, right? So it's something like that. But I don't know if we are more critical of people who came from the bottom and then rise than we are of people that are already at the top. This is very unique, at least from what I know. I don't know of any Asian countries, and I've been studying them for a long time, who has this kind of attitude. Um, Crab in a bucket. Yeah, you are correct. Maria Kando said, "Our culture are so different." Yeah. So I don't know. Of all the years that I've been studying Asian culture, I don't know if there's any other culture who thinks this way. That you're more that we have more. Will give you more leeway if you're already rich, abusing your power, than if you are poor who became rich abusing your power now. Okay. Next. All right. So he said naturally, if Bang Shiyuk is guilty, the law will judge him. But what's needed before that is not punishment, but evaluation. So he's trying to push forward this revolutionary idea of assuming people are innocent first before they're proven guilty. So, in short, Bang Shiyuk should be viewed through the lens of history, not through the lens of morality. K-pop continues to follow the path he paved, and the world continues to pay attention to that path. And I think the other thing that a lot of people are missing, and I've mentioned this many, many times before, and I will mention it again. When it comes to the US, no one is even mentioning this. They'll mention it in passing. Oh, he's been like called again for questioning. He's there because being questioned by the police. But when people talk about groups under HYBE, especially BTS, Cat's Eye, or the things that they are doing, no one is going to say, oh, by the way, he's actually under investigation right now. No one actually cares. A lot of CEOs in the US have gone to jail, gone out of jail, C-level executives. They go in and out of jail, they go in and out of trouble. We just move on. We don't even care about it. If it is something salacious and entertaining, we might get into it, just like the Coldplay couple, but it's not like we're going to dwell into it. Okay, now moving from that, a lot of people are speculating that this issue is being pushed by the same people that pushed forward the hate campaign against HYBE in favor of Min Hee-jin. And during the last week, there are so many new discoveries, not really new discoveries, but many of the reporters are releasing pages of the decision of the court and the evidence that have been submitted by HYBE to the court and also submitted by the defense, New Jeans camp. So one of which is this thing about Slack. Okay. So Min asked his former VP to go through Slack. For those that have not used Slack before, it's a communication system. It's like s- what do you call that? It's like Messenger, YouTube Messenger. Sorry. Facebook Messenger where people can actually communicate, but it's really more structured for corporations. You can create rooms, people communicate, collaborate, and stuff like that. So he instructed his ex VP to go to Slack and find dirt on specific groups. Okay. The initial stuff that was released, why am I getting blurry? Okay. uh so the initial stuff that was released, they actually blurred the names of the groups. But just this morning, someone actually printed the entire page. And so the groups that she was targeting included 17, ILIT, SSERAFIM. Those two, ILIT and SSERAFIM, those are not new. We know that she was targeting them. But she was also targeting virtually every group in under HYBE, and that included 17 and Hypen and even BTS. So she was instructing the ex VP to go through the Slack channel and look for dirt. So okay, and so many of this. So the court said that um sorry, my slides are mixed up. Okay, so the Korean legal opinion. So many of the lawyers in Korea are saying that the irony is that men who allegedly sought to uncover potential issues such as obstruction of business, violations of commercial law, and breach of trust may now face those very same legal risks herself. So they're saying that everything that she is accusing Hybe of or Adore of, it's actually her doing it. And so a lot of the lawyers think that Adore and Hybe are actually gonna sue her because just based on those actions alone, the things that she has done, the parent company HYBE could hold her liable for a range of legal violations, including business related breach of trust, unlawful use of personal data under Personal Information Protection Act, trade secret infringement under the Unfair Competition Prevention Act, abuse of authority under criminal law, as well as both civil and criminal defamation. So that is what they are anticipating. That given that the judge already recognized what she has done and called it for what it is, that she tried to manipulate the situation so that she could get a door out of Hybe and also get New Jeans out of Hybe. They think that that would be enough basis for Hybe to actually sue her. Now, the only thing I've actually asked this is not none of what I'm saying is, by the way, legal advice. So I asked my lawyer friend about it, and he said that most likely, if and when this gets to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court upholds the decision of her guilt of the termination of the upholding of the exclusive contract, then most likely the decision will be used then by Hybe to sue her for all the things that she is accusing Hybe of. She was mentioned 104 times in the verdict, which I thought initially. So when I was doing I talked about that in Patreon and in this live stream, not this live stream, but previous live streams. But when I was doing the presentation, I was like, why is her name coming up in this decision when this is actually New Jeans versus Adore? It was their contract they're trying to terminate. And after sort of going through all the points of the decision, I realized that the court is telling New Jeans that you are getting used and manipulated by this woman. Unfortunately, I don't think it landed that way. Why the Supreme Court? Because then it's final. So he is anticipating that, for example, if the Court of Appeals allegedly to this day, New Jeans has not submitted any new evidence in when they appealed. So they still have time. They still have time before they have to submit new evidence. But if they don't submit any new evidence, according to my friend, most likely the Court of Appeals will just uphold the original decision unless they can provide new evidence. Now, if, for example, the Court of Appeal still side with Adore, he's anticipating they're going to appeal again, and this time it's going to be in the Supreme Court. And that's going to take another 6 to 1 year. And when that decision comes in, then that will be final. There's nowhere else to go after the Supreme Court decides. So that is the final decision. Then HYBE can go to the court again and said, okay, according to you, the court, because it's the Supreme Court, right? According to you, this is what she did. She sabotaged the company. She tried to take away Adore and New Jeans. Can they submit new evidence dated after the termination? No. So that is one thing the court actually made clear, because I've mentioned to you in my previous live last Monday that it seems that the strategy of Sejong, the law firm representing Nugins and Min, is that they are going to demonstrate the breakdown of trust from here forward, so that by the time the Supreme Court hears the case, the Supreme Court is saying, okay, even if the breakdown of trust didn't happen when you before you terminated the contract, it is clear that the breakdown of trust has already happened now. And there's just no way these two entities can work together. Therefore, let's terminate the contract. You pay a fine. Okay. And this is the Supreme Court talking. And then usually the court does not impose that big of a penalty because it's going to be a burden to the person or the worker, and they need to be able to earn a living. So they're going to lower the penalty. So, in other words, it might have taken them some time, but at the end of it, Nugents will still get what they want: lower penalty and the termination of the contract. That is a precedent of the case that I discussed last Monday. However, and that precedent has been used by many other cases in South Korea when it comes to contract disputes. That is why many of the courts side with the entertainer, with the artist. But this specific court and this judge, and I think it has been happening since last year, they have tightened their recognition of contracts, because South Korea has sort of recognized that ever since the court continued siding with the artist, contracts have been rendered useless because anybody can just break it now. And the court doesn't like that because they are the court. And so they're saying in this decision that they are saying that they cannot use any evidence after they terminated their contract. The court said that you cannot. If there is a breakdown of trust after you terminated the contract, that is null. It's moot because it does not play into the original case that you filed. Okay. I hope I'm clear. Okay. So that's their ruling. That's another thing that came out. The court said no issue arising after the artist termination may be used in court. So you cannot. That is another thing that you can file, but not in this case. So you're going to have to look for another case, but not in this case. I'm so ready for NJ and Min to be done, for this entire situation to go away, but I fear it'll linger and linger and linger. So they're anticipating, at least this is the analysis of many journalists and lawyers in South Korea, the Court of Appeals could take 6 to 18 months, Supreme Court another 6 to 18 months. So it's either another 12 months, another 1 year to 3 years. Can you drop your case and file a new one after finding new evidence, or do they have to just amend? You can submit extra evidence for as long as that evidence took place. Whatever that evidence is referring to should have taken place before they terminated the contract. But if that evidence is referring to something that happened after they terminated the contract, that's a new case. Why hasn't the court said anything about NJ saying HYBE tried to make them miss out on wearing ribbons to pay respect to victims of airplane? It was never raised in court. They talked about it in the media, but not in court. Do think Min will disappear in China? I don't think China will actually welcome her. And another development is that their fan base, bunnies, submitted this case to Amnesty International. Because we have a shortage of actual human rights violations happening globally. So they decided Amnesty International is actually not very busy. Let's make them responsible for this. So what they want is for Amnesty International to intervene in this case, because it's more important than the people that are dying of starvation in Africa, in Sudan, in other parts of Asia, people that are getting beheaded because of their whatever. Those are not important. This is more important. That's why they think that Amnesty International should prioritize this. So they submitted that. They actually asked their group, so it's a huge fan base. They actually asked everybody to sign, create their own documents, and submit it on their own, because they feel that if there are many people submitting the same thing, then they are going to pay attention. But they are framing this as a human rights violation. Okay. One person, they are so delusional, very delusional. But yeah, they actually showed the form that they were going to submit to Amnesty International online. They asked everybody fill this up, print it out, sign it, go to Amnesty International and submit it. So, as I've said, because they feel that if there are a lot of people submitting the same case, then Amnesty International is going to recognize this as something urgent and pay attention. Happy birthday, Fire Butterfly. It's your birthday? Hey, happy birthday. The brains of the bunnies have been dislodged by the jumping all over the place while they are doing what they did with the National Assembly. MHJ is a natural disaster, though. Sure, AI needs to protect some rich, bratty girls who had everything threw it away. Submitted to Amnesty International. That's entitlement. Yeah, they submitted it, and they are still submitting it. So many of them have already submitted. Somebody provided them a template that they can fill up and then print and then file, but there are many who have already submitted it. So they are very serious about this because they feel that the Supreme Court eventually, when the case gets to the Supreme Court is actually going to side with Adore. In fact, there were some bunnies that attended the hearing, the final hearing when the decision was rendered. They attended the hearing, and many of them actually said that the outcome of the case was exactly what Kim and Chang, the law firm of Adore and HYBE, actually said it was going to come out. So they were like, this is useless. This poor abused millionaires. The ribbon case has been debunked. Many of the things that they've said to the press, they actually never submitted formally to the court. So there's a lot of issues that you'll be wondering about, and it's just they never talked about it in the court. Is there really a recording of no. That is not true. This no, there's no recording. Not true. Okay, next. Is there uh, we being one oh my, imagine Amnesty International workers bunnies living in the state of Delulu. Okay. That's the Kim Seron case. Let's go to okay, new regulations that could affect big BTS in their return. But first, they have questions. If any of you are interested about SK laws, do you have a website? Do they do have a website and it is in English? Oh yeah, they do have a website. I've actually posted it in Patreon if you want to see there. You do have to still because it's the law, and then there are interpretations of the law. So you still need the guidance of Korean lawyers for that. So yeah, everything they said to the press was false. They probably didn't want to commit actual perjury. Yeah. I think a lot of people though are campaigning for anybody who goes to the National Assembly and they testify wrong, for them to be held accountable. For them to be held to be liable to perjury, because you're under oath. When you go to the National Assembly, you're actually under oath. They ask you to take an oath. So you should be able to be sued for that. Okay. Question: what is the complaint about RM and APEC? There is no complaint. It's just this issue because GD, the leader of Big Bang, is the ambassador of APEC. And so, like silly people online are saying that because HYBE is a sponsor, not the, but a sponsor in APEC. They're saying that that speech is actually paid for because you can only deliver a speech if you are a sponsor in APEC, which is not true. In many summits, which I attend a lot of in conferences because of the previous work that I did, yes, in some cases, in some instances, when you sponsor, when you reach a certain level of sponsorship, when you reach a certain amount of money, then you are automatically given a speaking spot. Okay. So they call this tracks sometimes, like you're not required to actually attend this speech or sessions or whatever, but some people would because they're interested in what the speaker is going to be saying. So, but in a summit like this, that is not true. You don't pay your way into speaking in a speech in a venue like this. It's APEC, for God's sake. Sorry for using the name of God in vain, but it is it's presidents are actually attending this. You can't pay your way into it, right? So you have to be invited to actually do this. So before the APEC CEO summit, so there's APEC where the presidents and state leaders and whatever, they attend that event. There is a sub track which is APEC CEO. And in APEC CEO, CEOs of big corporations actually attend. And I've explained the connection of that. And then before that, there is another event where Bang Shiyuk actually spoke. So in that event where it's more the working executives, they were the ones in there. He delivered the speech. And then I think what happened was HYBE was invited to talk in the Apex CEO summit, and then they sent RM. I was on vacation, but now I'm back. Okay, sorry to go backwards, but was the dirt they dug up on Min the same info she leaked to the press that the National Assembly questioned the HYBE CEO about? Yeah, same. Manipulation of public opinions, things like that. Okay. Um is that clear? So I mean, this is just as issues because he was I'm talking about G Dragon. He was the ambassador of APEC. He didn't actually deliver a speech. He performed though. He performed. A lot of people were very surprised with the way that he performed. They think it was, but anyway, he's always been like that. By the way, or something. That's how he has always performed. That's his voice. That's how he raps. That's how he sings. So I'm surprised that a lot of people are surprised. Okay. How did Army get entrance to APEC? Arm mentioned us and Army cheered. You can actually pay for a pass for the APEC CEO summit. Yeah. And you can go to the different, it's pretty expensive, but you can go to the different booths. But yeah, you can just attend. And then reporters are there. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. All right. So one of the major developments in the APEC summit is the president of China, Xi Jinping, attending. And so he had meetings with different state leaders. And one of the things that stood out is the meeting between Xi Jinping, Trump, and Xi Jinping and South Korean CEO Park. Not CEO, but President Park. Okay. And one of the things that they allegedly discussed is the prospect of China lifting the soft ban on K-pop. So to this day, no K-pop group has been able to perform in China. Okay, I'll give you a background on where that started. It's not always like that. But okay, so this is where it started. Um after the Apec summit and after the coverage of the meeting of Park, which is the president of South Korea, different broadcasting channels, different news channels said that, so this is the meeting between the president of South Korea and the president of China. And they talked about China lifting the ban. And so everyone actually celebrated. And as a result, on the day that they published it and they talked about it, the stock shares, the stock prices of different entertainment companies rose because China is a big market. They are missing out on it. So everyone feels like, oh, okay, finally we can perform there, we can distribute and stuff like that. Now, however, so they were really, really looking forward to that. However, the Democratic lawmaker Kim Yong-bae, who served as the vice chairperson of the National Assembly's Foreign Affairs and Unification Committee, suggested that that she was the one who suggested that there is a high chance of the ban being lifted. The ban was initially put in place as a retaliation when South Korea joined the THAAD, which is the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missile System. This is the US deploying a THAAD battery to US troops in Korea in 2016 as part of a military exercise and a warning. So they deployed that. China didn't like it. South Korea, of course, joined the US because we are their ally. So they joined us. And so to punish South Korea for joining US, they imposed a ban, a soft ban in all Korean acts. And when I say soft ban, it means that it's not written in any of their regulations or laws, but they would usually approve the permit for any entertainer or any K-pop act to perform in China and then cancel it. And by the time it is canceled, down payments have been made and all of those stuff. Okay. However, they said that it could be premature. And this is the Korean side saying it. The this the speculation or the conclusion that the ban is going to be lifted will be premature because the exchange, according to them, the conversation was more pleasantries than it was actually a deal. They didn't really set anything in stone. They didn't even discuss anything in detail. There were no deals made. It was just more pleasantry. It was like, oh, hey, no Korean acts have been able to perform in your country. Can we restart that thing? I was like, yeah, let's look into it. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. This is not what they said, but it's more pleasantries than it is actual regulation. So while people are very, very excited, especially Chinese, that they will be able to finally see and watch many K-pop acts, that's most likely not going to happen right away. There's still a lot of things that they need to sort out before that actually happens. What about the artists who are Chinese but parts of a K-pop band like Jackson? I'm going to get to that because something interesting is actually happening. So, this is the timeline of what happened. Let me see here if I can do it this way. Oh, no. Okay. So this is actually the timeline of what happened. It was 2016 when the United States of America deployed the battery system, the THAAD, and then China imposes, by August of 2016, China imposes an unofficial ban in the regulating, but not explicitly prohibiting Korean entertainment in China because we joined the US. So why not we, but they joined us. So South Korea joined the US. And the reason they joined the US is because the US is providing military support to South Korea so that North Korea does not invade them. Because, okay, you know the story. All right. So March 3, 2017, China's National Tourism Administration reportedly tells Chinese travel agencies to stop selling group tour plans to Koreans. Okay. So there's the biggest source of tourism of South Korea is Chinese, actually, China. A lot of Chinese actually come to South Korea to watch K-pop concerts, to visit the country. It's actually not the US, it's China. And they are doing that because there is a ban, because South Korean performers can't go to China. And so it's the Chinese going to South Korea to watch them. Okay. So 2017, National Tourism Administration went beyond that, and they actually told the tourism industry in China to stop selling tourist packages to Koreans. December 2020, Com2U5 online game Summons War Sky Arena receives a license in mainland China. This is a gaming company from South Korea, and they were the first one since the unofficial ban. They were the first one to get a license to operate in China. 2023, major K-pop artists Les Seraphim, 17, and ITZY host their first fan sign events in mainland China. But this is a fan sign, not a concert. Okay, not a concert. 2023 of August, China allows its citizens to visit Korea on group tours. November of 2024, China waives visa requirements for Korean visitors staying up to 15 days for business, tourism, family visits, or transit. Okay. March 2025, Korea announces plans to temporarily allow Chinese group tourists visa free entry starting in the third quarter of 2025. This is when South Korea is trying to sort of be in the good side of China. They said, okay, we're not going to require visa from Chinese. Okay, April 29, 2025, boy band Apex announces a concert in Fuzhou in May 31, marking the first time in 9 years a K-pop artist in Korean nationality have performed in mainland China. However, May 11, Apex postpones Fuzhou concert, citing unavoidable circumstances. Their license was revoked. Their permit was actually revoked. And they have done this several times, apparently. South China would allow it and then cancel the permit. But by that time, they've already spent, signed contracts. It's a big loss for many groups. But one thing is consistent: many of the video games companies coming from South Korea, they've been able to operate in China. That's not a problem. The problem is the problem is always the performers. However, some Chinese members of K-pop groups have been able to pursue a career in China. However, they do need to become inactive in South Korea. So, for example, Lei, I believe is his name, from EXO, when he wanted to become active in China and promote in China, he had to go on hiatus from EXO. Then he would be able to pursue individual activities there. Now, this is something interesting. Our very own J Hope was able to do a concert in Macau. Not that he's the first. I think there was another act that was able to do a concert, but he was able to do it, Macau. Now, they said that I am not familiar with the political geography of China, but they're saying that it's actually not mainland or something like that. But anyway, it is still China and they allowed it. That is the bottom line. He was able to perform in Macau. So now people are sort of expecting that because of this, maybe there is a huge possibility that China would allow BTS to perform in China. And that would be a big market for them, especially because Chinese fans miss them. They haven't been able to see BTS in such a long time. And even when the BTS was still active, uh, they would have to go to South Korea to watch them. And so there's a lot of Chinese fans that are starving to see BTS. Now, Zero Base One will also be having a concert in Macau, or had a concert in Macau, 1102 and 1103. So that's another one. Now, do remember that one member of Core T's is Chinese. So James is actually Chinese. And it could be a creative as much as it is a business decision for Hybe to actually get him in the group, because then at least you have one member that is Chinese. If they become popular enough, they maybe they would be allowed to actually perform and promote better in China. So someone said TXT. Pinayon said TXT also performed in Macau. There you go. So there's hope. But everyone's saying that, oh, there you go. That is what it's called. It's a special administrative region. While under Chinese sovereignty, it has more autonomy in certain cultural and entertainment matters than mainland China. That's what it's called. Special administrative region. But it's still under Chinese. James is Chinese. I thought he was Japanese. He is Chinese. I memorized this Chinese name. Yong Fei, Xiao Fei, something like that. Yeah, he's Chinese. That's why, and I said this several times in Patreon. If you are trying to learn Korean, he speaks very very clear Korean. He does not have the Korean accent. His words are very clear. When he speaks Korean, I understand everything that he's saying. He makes me so happy. I understand it because so clear. And he speaks in complete sentences. He's beginning to become a little bit more local in his sensibilities, meaning, the one thing that's very confusing about the Korean language is that they drop the subject and the receiver. So the doer and the receiver of the action, they usually drop it. That's why it's very contextual. You need to understand the entire conversation for you to understand what one person is saying. He used to not drop them. He would actually say them like na. Nado. He would say them. Now he's starting to not say them as well, but he's still very, very clear. Chinese from Taiwan. He was born in Hong Kong, they're saying. Okay. Clearer than some Koreans. Oh, yeah. A lot of Koreans have an accent. Their accent, right? I mean, every country has an accent, their local accent. My Filipinos, we have an accent of our own. It's not the American accent, but we have a Filipino accent of our own. So even if you learn Filipino, for example, or Tagalog, if you learn our language, you will be speaking it in a different way than we do, because we have an accent. It's our language, the same way Americans have an accent. So you don't think that you have an accent, but you do. So he's the same. Koreans have an accent. He doesn't have that yet. So he pronounces Korean the words very clearly. Try to, if you're learning the language and you listen to him, you'll understand what he's saying. But anyway, he's also my bias. But him and Konho. So they're hoping that because of him, because he's an actual Chinese, then maybe he's going to be allowed to promote. The group is going to be allowed to promote in China. Okay, now just to give you an idea, the Chinese music market is the fifth largest recorded music market globally, and they are experiencing growth, especially in the digital sector. They are very active in promoting or nurturing the digital side of music, streaming, metaverse. They're getting into the technology very, very early. So in 2024, the total music revenue was approximately 68.59 billion, and digital music accounted for 20% of that. And then they are anticipating that in 2025 it's going to grow to about 40 to 50%. So that's a huge growth. Industry report claims that growth in China's music market in general, so this is recorded music, and this is the music market in general in China, 5% growth. So, okay. So the reason they are very slow when it comes to live concerts is that there's not a lot of groups that are performing there. It's usually local acts. So if BTS goes to China, if they manage to actually perform in the mainland, then they have the number of followers in their Weibo account exceeds 5 million. You can just imagine, it's a big country. There's a lot of people there. If they go there to the mainland and perform there, at least 5% of that is going to watch them, right? Isn't Chuyu Chewy from Taiwan too? Yes, she's from Taiwan. Lots of Taiwanese idols were are Yuki and Ning. Ning is from China, but I think he's from up north. It's like in the coldest part of China. If BTS did shows in China and or India, I think if they do shows there, they definitely will do more than two. I hope they do more than two because fans in those countries are really waiting for them. But that's going to boost their bottom line. That's going to boost their bottom line. I do think that they're going to exceed, or at least go close, very, very close to 1 billion just in the concerts. James speaks 5 languages. He does speak 5 languages. So he does speak very good English. He speaks Thai, uh, Mandarin, Korean. Was it French, the other one? I think it was French, the other one. So he does like, yeah, he speaks 5 languages. And he said that he did not even study in a school for English. It's just that his parents studied English in Australia and he picked it up from his parents. So he's really good. He's a linguist. He's just his nature. I If you watch their interviews, you would see, of course, Martin is the one that's most fluent in English among the members, but you can see that when Martin is sort of struggling for the word, he would look at James, and James will, will supply the word for him. It's a good teamwork, but also I just want to recognize how good Big Hit actually planned this group because everybody in Cortez actually speaks English. So not everyone is fluent, but they all speak English. Okay. Next, I had I wish I had such a language learning skill. Okay, one thing that will directly affect K-pop is the deal the South Korean government struck with Trump in the APEC meeting. So, warning to everybody, please. This is not a political talk. We're just talking about the economy. No comment. Please don't make any kind of comment in the political side. We're just talking about how the deal is going to affect K-pop. Okay. All right. So the amount of money that Park, the president of South Korea, signed off with Trump is $350 billion worth of investment, but it is split into two different types of into two bulk basically. So the exchange in exchange. So if you would remember, Trump imposed tariff on South Korea, and then the Park negotiated and said, okay, lower the tariff. Um, South Korea tariffs all U.S. products going into South Korea, and so it was like Tr- Trump said, if you're going to tariff us, we're going to tariff you. So Park negotiated. He said, bring down the tariff, and we're going to invest this much in your country. So 200 billion is the first drop, through 200 billion in cash, to be paid gradually, no more than 200 billion, 20 billion per year, to avoid shaking up South Korean currency market. Because if you pour in 200 billion into the US off, then their money is going to get affected. And then 150 billion focused on shipbuilding projects backed by guarantees, corporate investments, and ship financing. So the 200 billion in cash, it's going to come in the form of bonds, it's going to come in the form of stocks, different ways, but it is in cash. 150 billion will be manufacturing investments. So they're going to build ships in the US. Okay, so how does this actually affect um, K-pop? It's because it's going to boost Korea's shipbuilding exports and help U.S. shipyards upgrade. So it's strategic for South Korean as well. Because it's ships, right? That's how they ship. That's how they actually transport many of their products. So if they are building the ship here, then that means they are also arming themselves with more opportunity to bring more products into the US because that's their ship. Okay, so like a total it's not a moronic kind of investment. He also thought about what kind of thing they are going to get out of it. And there are a lot of K-pop products that are coming into the US from South Korea. Now, there are also corporate commitments, different companies from South Korea that also committed to invest in the US. And this is going to then eliminate the tariff. if these groups, Yonde, LS groups, if they start manufacturing in the US, which they committed to do, then the products that they manufactured in the US and sold in the US will not be subjected to tariff. Okay, so 5 billion project to modernize US shipyards, and then there is a 3 billion by 2030 to build US power grid infrastructure. Now, that why what could this how could this involve K-pop? The agreement also involves technology cooperation, and that includes science and technology, and that includes AI between these two countries. What Trump actually wants to happen is for the US and South Korea to work together in order to improve and push forward AI and different types of technology like the blockchain. And we all know that HYBE is actually heavily invested in the US, entertainment to manufacturing to AI, right? And so that if that happens, because Trump is saying that any companies who's going to support all of these technologies will get lesser tax, then that is going to be an advantage to HYBE. HYBE is most likely going to be involved heavily into technology for edutainment, meaning whatever metaverse, blockchain they are developing, AI technology, all of these things, they are going to use it for edutainment so that they can utilize all of this technology for education. Okay. BTS, I have Truth Untold as my ringtone, but my phone is on vibrate all the time. Okay, do you have questions on this? I heard Korean workers don't want to come back to the US after the whole mass company deportation. I think South Korean president promised that he will not allow Korean workers to not have a visa to work in in the if they want to work in the US, but they're still coming. So anyway, that's not a part of this. So whatever, I guess. This Bitcoin included. Yeah, I mean, Trump is very supportive of cryptocurrencies, and South Korea is very much into to cryptocurrencies, the blockchain, the metaverse, NFTs, AI. They are leading in technology right now. Samsung and Tesla are racing towards the most powerful battery to be used. Okay, so what they want to happen is to eventually create cars, develop cars, or invent cars, or improve the cars, EV, so for longer battery, because many of EVs right now have very limited battery power, so it's like 200 miles. So if you're going to Las Vegas and you're in California, you're going to have to stop once or twice before you get there. So that's not very convenient, right? And so they want to develop longer batteries, like more powerful batteries, in order to create machines that can run longer. How will this affect Korean entertainment scene again? So number one, if the shipbuilding actually happens, and it will because they signed on it, then that is going to give South Korea opportunities to bring in more South Korean products. Second, because private companies from South Korea, like Samsung, Hyundai, and LS Group, committed into investing in manufacturing in the US, then anything that they manufacture in the US will be tariff free. So if they start manufacturing anything involving technology that K-pop acts will be using, then that will be tariff free. Remember to like the video, over 400 watching. Okay, I hope that is clear. Um Sorry, in California, a lot of US start are in those protests. Okay, just let's not talk politics. We're just talking about we're just talking about K-pop. Okay, just let's limit our topic to that. I want to keep. They are going to be safe. Okay, just focus on K-pop. All right. Anything else? Before we move on to better news, I guess. Lighter news. It's 4 a.m. for you. Oh my God. What are you doing up? I hope you don't have work tomorrow or school tomorrow. Scottis is probably going to strike. Okay, let's not talk about that. If they strike it down, strike it down. But for now, this is what we have, and this is how it's going to affect K-pop. Okay, next. Next, let's do news and updates. All right. Okay, so one good news, at least for now, is that someone actually sued Spotify because of the discovery mode. So this is a class action lawsuit. Maybe if you have paid membership in Spotify, you will get an email for you to join the class action lawsuit. But they are suing Spotify, or she is suing Spotify because of discovery mode, because of this feature. She is saying that this is modern day payola. So this is pay for play. You that Spotify is actually accepting payment bribes from these artists in order to be recommended. Okay. So, um let's go through the lawsuit. So discovery mode, as you know, is when artists actually can give up a part of their earnings. So they get paid a certain amount. They can bring down the earnings that they are taking, just as so, and then in exchange Spotify is going to recommend them more to users. Aside from that, they also get included, or at least they get pitched in some of the playlists that are controlled by Spotify. Okay. So the trade off, as I've said, in exchange for the visibility, participants accept a reduction of 30% from their royalties. Okay. So that is what discovery mode. And the cost is this, and this is now finally uncovered because of the lawsuit. You need to pay 2 grand for playlists with modest followings. So if you tell Spotify, hey, I want this song to be included in a playlist that has 200,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, whatever, then you pay 2,000. Okay. If you want large playlists, it could be 10,000 or more. If you want gigantic playlists like today's top hits, you pay more. And so there are outside of this, because they pitch you, they said that they just pitch you. It's not a guarantee, but it is a guarantee for as long as you pay. So aside from this, they also charge other things like consultancy fee. And that could be, that's not 100, it's 1,000 at least, to ensure editors will hear your track. So remember, they always say this is not a guarantee, we're going to pitch you, but it's not a guarantee that the editor will accept it. But they charge you just for the mere action of giving the song to the editor of the the playlist. So they're going to say, if you want to be guaranteed, if you want a guarantee that the editor is going to listen to your song, pay us more. Under this regime, according to the complaint, independent artists without major label backing are at a disadvantage, according to the complaint. You know, if you're an independent musician, $1,000 is a lot of money. 10,000 can sink you, especially if you're new, you really don't have any kind of backing. And so this, if other, of course, artists that are under big labels, they can afford 10,000. That's nothing to them. They can afford 100,000, 200,000. But for smaller artists that don't have that backing, it's out of their reach. So the complaint is saying that if this is Payola 2.0 by EV, this is Payola 2.0. Instead of cash bribes, which was rendered illegal back in the radio days, Spotify is now extracts payments via lower payouts. So they're saying this is also payola. You just called it a different way, and you're just collecting the money a different way, but it is still payola. And this echoes historical scandals like the 1950s radio payola probes that led to FTC crackdown and fines. Okay, so this is a specific case that they use. Distribution of Not Like Us. If you would remember, Drake sued UMG, Universal Music. And in his lawsuit, he mentioned that UMG actually utilized discovery mode to push Not Like Us. Okay. So back in 2021, the House Judiciary Committee had requested information on the program. They actually asked for information because they don't understand what it is. And they said that the House Judiciary said that this is a bad precedent because this could actually lead everybody to do to start a race to the bottom because people just want to be recommended, and the smaller artists who are relying on their earnings in every way possible, you're going to take that away just because they want to be recommended. What was the result of the Drake lawsuit? It was dismissed, but he is appealing. Okay. Spotify responded to the lawsuit and said it is nonsense. He said that discovery mode is a feature artists can use to flag priority tracks for algorithmic consideration in limited contexts, radio autoplay, and certain mixes. It does not buy plays, they said. It simply means you are going to get considered, but it does not guarantee that you are going to make it into the playlists, and definitely does not mean you will be automatically recommended. They insist that recommendation to you, if you have a paid subscription, will still highly rely on your preference. If the artist does not fit your taste, then they will not push it to you. Okay. It is ironic that Drake lawsuit, since I'm sure he benefited a lot by all these things too. Get basic facts. They said that the lawsuit gets basic facts incorrect, and they said that they used in algorithm that discovery mode is used in algorithmic playlists. Spotify also refuted the program only helps major labels. They said even those that are independent, they are using this program. Yes, it was dismissed. And so now this is actually a second lawsuit. Well, I'm sure they have a lot of lawsuits, but another popular lawsuit that was filed against them was for permitting massive amounts of streaming fraud in its platform, which siphons royalty from artists whose numbers aren't artificially inflated. So someone also filed a case against them because they're saying that why are you allowing, if you are so technologically advanced, you can automatically block streams coming from bots or coming from streaming farms. Why are you allowing it? And if that puts independent artists at a disadvantage, or artists that refuse to use streaming farms or bots because they are taking in a bigger share because they're the ones that are artificially boosting their stream. So that lawsuit is actually in play. So no decision yet. Um, I personally think that it is bad business practice for Spotify to get involved in marketing because that's what it is here. It is marketing. It's looking for ways on how to boost or promote certain artists. I think that any marketing effort should be done by a third party, not by Spotify themselves. They should be a streaming platform. The platform should be independent. It is incomplete, but that's what I wanted to say. It should be independent. It is supposed to be agnostic. It should be agnostic. That part, Miss Fairlane, if it happens, we filed a lawsuit against that nuclear shipbuilding. Okay, so streams from paid recommendations. The other thing that I think that should be put in regulation should be that paid recommendations should be disclosed and not counted towards streams. For example, if you're listening and a song was pushed to you because of the that program discovery mode, then it should be disclosed. It should be on your screen. It should be said before the song is played so that you know they are pulling or they are pushing songs that are being recommended because they paid for it. I think that should be very much disclosed and clearly disclosed. And listeners should have the option to opt out of it. You should have the right, and I'm saying you because I don't have paid Spotify, but I should have the right to say, I do not want to be a part of that audience. I do not want to get recommendations for paid playlisting or paid promotion or whatever. I'm going to make a decision what I'm going to be listening to, not you. I definitely don't want to hear songs that are paying to be recommended. I think at the very least, the Senate and the House should put that as a regulation because it's unfair Okay. Now another issue. This is now we're done with Spotify. This is another issue. Dean the Wolf, the head of North American venues for AXS, which is the closest competition of Ticketmaster, said that people like us, real human beings, stand no chance against bot when they are buying tickets in Ticketmaster. He said this in an interview in a forum sponsored by or put together by Billboard. How do micro playlisting work? Spotify in itself, they have micro playlists, meaning playlists with a smaller audience. So they have that as well. You can pay for that as well. If you don't have a lot of budget, they can pitch you for smaller playlists. And then there are also third parties that are providing the service. So if you just search on Google, you'll be able to find services and you pay them and then they can pitch you to 10,000 or 5,000 different playlists and stuff like that. Okay. So to avoid all Spotify pushing, I turn off play autoplay. They are saying that it does not entirely turn it off. And that's part of the lawsuit that she put in. They said that even if you turn it off, it's still recommending artists to you and it's still auto playing things. Now, the other thing is that they are saying that even if you block or dislike or something like that an artist, it will still keep on recommending it if they pay to be recommended. How do us normal people actually get tickets for BTS? That's a good question. So this is an alarm that he's sounding. If you get a chance, it's on YouTube. Dean DeWolf, he actually discussed that against bots we do not stand a chance. Okay, next. um the revenue report of SM Entertainment. This is very interesting. They actually did very well. The revenue increased 32.8% year on year. So that is 321,000, sorry, 321.6 billion won. So the growth is primarily driven by albums and some concerts, but very, very interesting. Operating profit, they increased 261.6% year on year, totaling 48.2 billion won. Net profit increased 1,107% year on year to 44.7 billion Korean won. Do we have an update on not yet? No, that's going to take a while before it becomes official. Some people will release unofficial count and unofficial revenue, but we're going to have to wait. I would suggest just waiting for touring data. It's not entirely accurate, but it is the closest that we can get to absolute credibility. Okay, so this is to give you an idea on where they are. So the one that is shaded pink, that is the current report that they have. So remember, their net profit increased 1,100% year on year. Okay, so $44.7 billion. Now, it was primarily driven, as I've said, with by album sales because they released a lot of album. So, and then there's also some concerts and some of their licensing deals. So NCT Wish released Color and they sold 1.48 million copies. aespa released Rich Man, 1.13 million sold copies. And then NCT Dream also released Go Back to the Future, 1 million copies. What I find interesting though is that 1.48 million is only 20% of the biggest sale number of albums sold by a group, which is 17. They sold 5 million at one point, but they're still raking it in because it is cheap to manufacture an album. It becomes cheaper the more that you sell. So that this is the primary driver of their income. So if you go to their report, did I put it there? Maybe I will put it in a bit. Okay. So this is also concert also contributed. So Rise, although they are canceling a lot of their dates in the US, they are not canceling it in Asia. They are big in Asia, especially in Korea. So far they have done 20. They still have a lot to go. So they are currently in North America, and then they're going to go back to Asia. Also, this is NCT Dream, I believe. 8 dates, and of course they have Super Junior, Super Show 10. They're still alive despite being around for 20 years. I mean, alive meaning active in their career. So this is the dates that they did, primarily Asia and then some Mexico, Latin America. Okay, so there you go. Physical album takes in the bulk of their income, 96.7 billion won. Okay, but the concert is 52.5. So it is the second biggest contributor, but physical albums definitely made big. So I guess, they didn't say this directly, but my assessment, or at least my conclusion, is that this is a deep fandom, meaning the support has depth. They are willing to buy multiple copies of an album, but they don't have enough in North American region to fill in stadiums because, as you know, they're starting to cancel many of the tour, well, some dates of Rise. Okay, so and this is for their subsidiaries. They have SMCNC, SM Entertainment Japan, Dear You, SMBM. Okay, isn't today exactly Super Junior's 20th anniversary? Probably. Probably. Okay. So this is their plan for the rest of the year and for the first quarter of next year, which, as you all know, when BTS is going to release their album and start going on tour, according to them. So for the rest of the year, Hearts to Heart will have a mini album. They've already released this. Chanyeol will have an album in Japan. Yuta, you know. Taeyeon, NCT Dream, fourth quarter, Wavy, Max Changmin, Mino, Doyoung, Rice, Jungwoo, and aespa. All of these people will release an album until the end of the year. Okay. Um, uh, I agree. Might ask Fairlane to do it. Okay. What is that? What are you going to ask? And then for the first quarter of next year, guess who's going to release an album? A lot of people. Everyone and their dog will release an album and projects by the first quarter of next year and second quarter of next year. Okay, so EXO, Irene, NCTU, 10, NCT Wish, Hearts to Hearts, Yo, and Rise will all release an album first quarter of next year. Okay, and maybe half of the industry or 75% of the industry will release an album next year. This is their concert lineup, and EXO is slated to do a tour by the first quarter of next year. However, as you know, there is a conflict between the members and the management company because three members won't be joining the tour. And SM said it's because they're not paying their share. According to their court settlement, I'm talking about Sumin, Baekhyun, and Lay. So I forget the other one. But they sued SM Entertainment. And according to the court decision, they still have to continue paying SM Entertainment their share until they pay their penalty. So the settlement is 10%, but SM Entertainment is claiming that they are not paying that 10%. So only six members will go on tour. Okay. It will be funny if BTS changes their schedule and does it later in the year. Well, at least I can save more. Okay. So clarification on this. So touring data released the revenue for and attendance of half of a Easy Crazy Hot tour of Les Seraphim. And a lot of people are starting to yap and yap and yap because they did not sell out Thailand. They only sold 74.66%. What I do want to call attention to is the fact that, as you all know, much of the numbers are actually coming from the agency. Source Music actually released it as is. They could have just said 100%, so they didn't. They actually said nope, 74.66%. So we didn't sell it out. And I was like, okay, good for you for being very honest. But the rest, I think there's one in Nagoya. They sold 94.02%. but the rest 100% sold. And so, as you could imagine, the fan war that was going on X, because a lot of mice, the fans of Espa, said that Espa is more popular in Japan, more popular in Asia, because their revenue is actually bigger. It's 22.933,805 versus the first tour of Le Seraphim, which was 9 million. Now, Sing Parallel Line is not the first concert of Espa, but more importantly, Flame Rises was the first tour of Le Seraphim. It was a much smaller tour, and also they had less venues, so it's natural that they weren't going to sell as much. However, the current tour that they have, what happened was that ESPA had more attendees. So they reported 102,598 attendees. Le Seraphim reported 100,170 attendees in Asia only. However, the bottom line, the income of Le Seraphim was way bigger, 11.1 million, ESPA 7.7 million. The average ticket price of Le Seraphim is 111, but the average ticket price of ESPA is 75.4 dollars, US dollars. Now, what happens is that the tickets of Le Seraphim, as they go out of South Korea, becomes more expensive because they are more popular outside of Korea. And so when it comes to ticket prices, they are the same. Aespa and Le Seraphim's tickets in South Korea, they're the same. But when they go out of South Korea, Le Seraphim's ticket prices go up. Aespa's ticket prices go down. And so they may sell more, but Le Seraphim's actually net more because the tickets are more expensive. So that's what's up. And then the other thing is, do remember that this is just the Asia leg of their second tour. They haven't reported. Touring data has not gotten their hands on the North American leg of their tour. Okay. Can we wait 2 more weeks? Yeah, that's the last point that I was gonna say. This does not include the Tokyo Dome concert, and again, it does not include the North American concert. So when you see posts like this, just remember these are incomplete reports yet. We're gonna have to wait for the final report. Okay. V was announced as the face of the Japanese um, makeup company Youth. Okay, so this is his second Japanese endorsement. The other one was Tier. Okay, and this they actually released this. This was published by a newspaper. I found it on Naver. Okay. And they said that right after V, and they call this the V effect, right after he was announced as the ambassador, stock prices went up 7.53% to a new high. As you can see, this is their all time stock prices. And the maximum was reached after he was announced the ambassador of the brand. Now, what's even more important is that the company actually said that the reason they decided to go for V as the brand ambassador is their desire to go to the global market. So they want to start importing and going global. And they think that V is the right person to take them global. So that gives you an idea on the brand power of V. Somebody wanted to go global, they get V as an ambassador for a makeup brand whose primary target market would be females. Okay. So the other thing is that someone asked me for clarification because this same publication, this same article claimed that after V was announced as the ambassador of Celine, the income of Celine went up 591%. Okay, so I gathered the data and some facts, and this is the complete story. And the complete story is that we will never get the complete story. So, according to an article in CNN, LVMH COO Arnault he signed up Slimane, which is the former creative director of Celine, and he quit December of 2024. But he was the one who signed V. So they signed him, Slimane. um, Celine signed him for Celine. Celine signed him as the creative director back in 2018, and he had the marching order. Arnold said, "I want to gross $2 to $3 billion in 5 years." That was his marching order. So he got to work. And from the time that he joined the company, the income started going up. And this was pre V. Okay. So the income started going up to 2022, they actually got to 1.2 billion euros. And the target was 2 to 3 billion. So he was getting there. Okay. So since he joined, it actually went up, started going on an upward trend. But the target was 3 billion. So he was far from it because it was still 1.2 billion by 2021. Or sorry, 2022, 1.2 billion. Now, according to the CNN article that I just showed you, Slimane decided he was going to go into menswear. Okay, that is a part that he wants to get into. And the very first ambassador he got was Park Bogum. So for about a year, it was Lisa of Blackpink and Park Bogum. Okay, they were on an upward trend still. He signed V March of 2023. At the end of March 2023, he was still at $1.2 billion. V was signed March 2023. Okay, by 2024, they said that Slimane managed to expand the business. So they already had 404 stores, 675 stores after 4 years. It's right there in the middle of your screen, from 404 to 675. Okay. And they're still crediting it to Slimane. Now, Fashion BI, a magazine, stated that after they signed up V, their revenue went up 591%. Okay, I could not find the official report of Celine stating this. The only source I could find was Fashion BI. They said that the price actually went up. The revenue of Celine went up 591 after they signed up V, which meant it should have been 20, end of 2023. Okay, I hope you're following me. Now, a financial analyst from Bernstein stated that his name is Luca Solca, said that by the time Slimane quit, which was end of 2024, the revenue of Celine went up to 2.76 billion, which was right on the money of the target that Arnault gave Slimane. After hitting the target, he quit. Okay, so he achieved 2.76 billion, and this is official because it came from Bernstein. He achieved 2.76 billion in revenue at the end of 2024. He decided to venture into menswear 2023. Sorry, 2022. His first brand ambassador was Park Bogum. By 2023, he got V. At that time, at the end of the year of 2023, his revenue was 1.2 billion. By 2024, end of the year, his revenue was 2.76 billion. And that is your complete story. Where Fashion BI got the 591% increase in revenue, I'm not sure. Maybe they have the detailed revenue report and I don't. And they're talking about net revenue. That's a big possibility. But this one is the one that I found that was official. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it only speaks of the brand power of V. And it is not a puzzle why a brand like Youth would actually want him to take them global. If anybody can do it, it will be V. So if we want to help V, please continue buying the brand. So I have a lot of makeup brands, products out there. Please support it. Okay. But going on menswear and V reached the mark. He did, yes. Okay, so that is part of the report that I found. Fashion BI. Now, this was released. This was the Twitter account of Book My Show Live. So they dropped a teaser about Golden the Moments. And of course, a lot of people panicked. Many of the JK biased armies was very, very excited. They think it was a tour. And my initial doubt was that if it is a tour, I don't think an Indian account will actually announce it. This sounds like something that Big Hit will announce, not an Indian Twitter account. Now, this company, Book My Show Live, they do live events. Now, I said, well, maybe the tour is going to be, maybe it's not a like a world tour, but a special show, and it's going to be in Asia, and they are heading it. I said maybe, but then at the end of the day, they actually announced it's actually the exhibit. And of course, a lot of Indian armies are still very very excited about that. But I hope that this serves as a lesson to all of us before we jump into conclusion. Let's think about this, the architecture of this entire thing. I do believe that if there is a world tour, and I believe it's going to happen, and if there's anybody who deserves it, it will be Jungkook. If that's going to happen, it's going to be announced directly by Jungkook, or at the very least Big Hit. So leaks happen, but I honestly think the tour is going to be announced by Jungkook or Big Hit. And then the other thing is that many have already communicated to BTS members during their live streams that we want them to go on tour individually, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if there are two members who have been very very vocal about the fact that they want to prioritize, and not only one two, but they're actually prioritizing BTS, it's those two, Jungkook and Jimin. So I also hope that we could be loud in our support and tell them that whether they decide to prioritize BTS in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we're here for them. Okay, don't third tier and you compete. Um, I think one specializes in skin products, and then the other makeup. That's how I understand it. So complementary, not really competing. Okay, so let's try to be loud in that, because there are so many solos that are going on their live streams saying that, oh, we want you to go on tour, and we do. It's just that they already said they want to prioritize BTS. Okay, are you sure season 2 was announced? Yeah, hey. So, as you know, I was so entertained with their show. It's going to be 8 episodes, and it's going to start airing on December 13, every Wednesday, 2 episodes, and the very last 2 episodes will air on December 24, Eve of Christmas. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So 2 episodes every Wednesday. I'm so excited. And they're gonna go to, so the first two will be Switzerland and then Vietnam. So I thought it was going to be 3 countries, because they went to New York. They actually went to Japan before they were formally discharged, but they also went to New York. So there's some confusion. People think that maybe they did something else in New York, or maybe it's just a private trip. But they said that it's going to be 2 countries, Vietnam and Switzerland. And I'm very, very, very excited. And they said that this is actually, they changed the format. The first time they traveled, it was just like the two really chilling, like doing different activities together. But they said this time they actually gave the two challenges and worked for their money. They made them work for their money. So it's going to be, I guess, a bit more, they think it's going to be a bit more active, because those two are actually working to build, to actually earn some money, because they were not given much. So this is a birthday gift to you. Well, it's a Christmas gift to me. Okay, I'm very, very excited for this. So this is some of the pictures that they posted. They don't even look like this anymore. They changed so much already. So I'm excited for that. You know that a lot of the photos leaked when they went to Vietnam and Switzerland. So we have seen this photo from a different angle, taken by people who saw them there, unfortunately. So some of the articles that were written, and this is the first photo that they took in in season 1. I'll be in Switzerland for the first 2 shows. Oh, okay. Kind like, yeah, like Bon Voyage. There are some challenges there. And warning, of course, haters are already in full force. Uh, so my advice is that to fully enjoy the series, please remember that the block button is free. So just block everybody and just enjoy it. These two are just a real pleasure to watch. They're so fun. So let's enjoy whatever it is that they are offering. And to close this entire thing, Kim Namjoon actually posted photos of his family. It's so sweet. They're so tall. They're so tall. He's actually taller than his father, I realized. This is not the first time that he's published their photos. He's published their photos before. but it's such a good update for all of us. So his sister is also very, very tall. So she's probably like 5'7", maybe 5'8". Okay, and this is them matching clothes. So cute. They're so cute. I love their family. And this is his new profile. RM to eternity. My guess is that this is a spoiler. I saw a blurb that the series is going to be sort of like the race with the challengers to earn spending money. Yeah, they made them work for they are going to have to complete some challenges and compete in order to earn some money. And then this was posted by Kim Venchi, which is their stylist, and this is him getting measured for his suit. He's so tall, so unfair, and I'm so short. Okay. Okay, in general, just want to ask people to be very careful of the accounts that you follow. Many of the OT7 accounts on Facebook, Instagram, a lot of Discord channels, a lot of OT7 accounts on X, they actually aren't OT7. So be very careful who you follow. You will be, because they're very, very sleek and strategic in how they post things. So it's not very obvious that they don't like a member. Just be careful. Okay, I saw a question. How is Apec going to affect BTS? All the deals that I spoke about, those started during APEC. But the deal with South Korea that started and signed during APEC. So, okay. Has to be a spoiler. I agree. Okay. Do you have questions? Sorry, we're over time 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. So, do you have questions before we go? I will do, of course, my members only live stream on Friday. So, looking forward to that. I do miss you guys because that was 2 weeks. I was able to not go on my Friday live streams for 2 weeks. So, I'll see you Friday. But before that, do you have questions before we go? Thank you so much for being with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, please just continue going to the magazine, Asian Entertainment and Culture.com. That's going to like sort of push the algorithm um to recommend us more. But also, if you have any suggestions, I'm starting to upload stuff in there that are more like news based, just straight up news, like talking about achievements or updates of certain things. And that's helping the algorithm. But if you have any suggestions in terms of topics or things that you want me to talk about, let me know. Even for videos, if you want me to do like straight up news for videos, let me know what you want me to talk about. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Um, Thank you. Let's not talk about those shippers and those solo toxic fandom. It's not worth it. As I've said, just be careful on who you follow and keep on blocking. Keep on blocking. Let's not spoil our fun for them. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.